Well, it's an Italian Renaissance design, which was designed in the 1920s, late 20s, by an architect called William Illingworth, who lived in Bradford and was quite a prominent architect of his time. When you look around the city, there are quite a few of his buildings still in existence, round and about, and what you see is probably his most prominent and successful of all of them. He is a cinema designer. There is obviously more than just this in the country, and there are others. There is another one up in Hartlepool that I do know of, which is still in existence today. The main auditorium, which was used for shows as well as movies eventually, the ballroom was a separate entity off to one side, which then became Odeon 3, as I affectionately know it from my time of going to see the cinema. It also had a bingo hall as well inside, the rank bingo as they used to call it. So yeah, it gradually morphed into something more than just the stage. It was gradually broken down into segments, and each became its own purpose. And then eventually you had the three cinemas inside, Odeon 1, 2 and 3. A few years ago I managed to get some photographs of the Odeon, which were donated to me by a friend, and they literally are photographs that were sent to William Illingworth at the time that the Odeon was being built. So there's quite a few, probably about 10 or 20 photographs which show it in various forms of being constructed. Now these photographs, some of them are quite rare, some of them people have seen before, but they belonged, I believe, to the assistant architect of William Illingworth, which was Cecil Barber. And Cecil Barber was an interesting man in his own right, because he was an apprentice to William Blakewell, who was the designer of Leeds City Square. So he actually came to work for William Illingworth and was probably part of this scheme also. The photographs vary from, for example, interior shots of the amazing amount of bricks stacked up. So you're actually inside the Odeon with the outer walls built, showing all the scaffolding and the gents in flat caps. Also there's some detailed shots of some of the Italian Renaissance architecture at the tops of the towers, so quite detailed, showing how intricate the work was and how it was put together in sections. We also have photographs again showing interiors, also at the time when they were decorating the interiors, showing all the elaborate balconies and the decor, which was absolutely fabulous. Also with the photographs were actually photographs of the original drawings, showing the layout inside, how the auditorium was set out before it went through all its various changes. It definitely had stalls and boxes at the sides as well, and you had a lounge, the stalls lounge, which is quite interesting because when I used to go to the cinema in the 70s, that was where you got your popcorn and things like that, whereas when you see pictures of the original stalls lounge, it was quite posh, very almost Art Deco in style. Seating areas, palm trees, that kind of arrangement. A lot of the photographs, you get quite a good view of the Alhambra and how the new Odeon, New Victoria, should I say, fits in with the rest of the arrangement. Because a lot of people don't realise that when the new Victoria was built, it was on a street called Brewery Street, and it's on the site of an old brewery. Now the new Victoria Square was opposite, and this was actually sandwiched in between the Odeon and New Victoria Square. So to make it more visible, the elaborate towers were quite prominent at either end of the street, but the actual front was quite plain design, and that's why people often say, well, why save it? It's quite ugly at the front. but it was made to stand out, so you could see it at the end of each street and see the towers of the new Victoria. Thornton Road would still be of this sort of width, okay? But as soon as you came out of that end tower there, you were walking across the street to another block of buildings. The new Victoria Square with the new inn, there'd be a pub there as well and a few shops. And what they were trying to do, were trying to get you to see this, you know, the theatre was there from whether you were coming down Morley Street, Great Orton, Thornton Road, coming out of the town hall, you'd look up Tyrrell Street, you would be able to see the two towers, whereas you wouldn't see the actual front of the building. So it was the design was to attract people in that sense. From people's investigations into the building, a lot of this stuff is still there. It's just hidden away. It's hidden behind panels. It's hidden behind 1960s, 70s, 80s decor, which is just built up over the years. And as you peel that away, the balconies reappear. All the ornate plasterwork and everything is there. It just needs exposing. Now, the photograph I've got in my hand here is just showing the sheer opulence of the place, how grand it must have been, and again it signifies how important a night out there would have been. You would have felt quite royal going out there. I've got a ticket to go to the theatre tonight. You know, it does have a certain opulence. This particular photograph shows the scaffolding in 1929, which is not too dissimilar to what the building looks like today with the scaffolding in 2012. But it just shows you how we've come full circle, and hopefully this isn't the scaffolding here to take it down, if you know what I mean. So the picture shows scaffolding putting it up. Let's hope that this scaffolding remains as part of a renovation, not as a part and parcel of removing the building.